In 1950, Victor Creel moved to Hawkins with his family, which included his wife and 2 children. His son, Henry, began to manifest psychic abilities and eventually killed his mother and sister. Victor was accused of the crime and committed to Pinehurst, where he lived in constant terror of what had happened. Henry survived and was taken in by Dr. Martin Brenner, who recognized the boy's psychic powers and decided to study him, effectively making him Subject 1. Between 1960 and 1970, Dr. Brenner launched the MK-Ultra program at the Hawkins Laboratory. Experiments on human subjects aimed to develop telepathic and telekinetic abilities. Terry Ives took part in these experiments, unaware that she was pregnant. Her daughter, Jane Ives, was born and immediately taken by Brenner, who renamed her 11. In 1974, a distraught Terry tried to rescue her daughter, but Dr. Brenner captured her and destroyed her mind through neurological shock treatments. Terry was left in a catatonic state, endlessly repeating fragmented phrases that described the Rainbow Room, the place where she had last seen her daughter, Jane. In 1979, at the Hawkins Laboratory, 11 was raised as a test subject. Henry Creel, who had become an assistant under the identity of Peter Ballard, though still a prisoner himself, convinced her to help him escape. 11 removed the control device from his neck, unleashing one's full powers. Henry then killed the medical staff, the researchers, and all the children who had been used as test subjects. Only 11 survived. She confronted him and banished him into another dimension, effectively creating the first portal. Wounded and exiled, Henry encountered the collective consciousness of the Mind Flayer, formed a psychic bond with it, and was transformed into Vecna. Thus, the true Upside Down was born. In 1983, Dr. Brenner regained control of the laboratory and of 11, who, deeply traumatized, remembered nothing of what had happened before. Still a prisoner, she was subjected to constant experiments until she unintentionally opened a second portal during a forced telepathic test. Through this portal, the Demogorgon entered the human world. 11 escaped from the lab and fled into the woods surrounding Hawkins, pursued by security agents. That same night, Will Byers, on his way home, was captured and dragged into the Upside Down. While on the run, 11 accidentally encountered Will's friends, Mike Wheeler, Lucas Sinclair, and Dustin Henderson. The boys helped her hide and escape, and from the very beginning, a bond of affection and the first signs of love grew between 11 and Mike. Meanwhile, Joyce, Will's mother, begins communicating with him through the lights in their house, though the idea seems completely impossible. More people disappear, including Barb, the best friend of Nancy, Mike's sister. Nancy's boyfriend Steve dismisses the situation, and Nancy grows closer to Jonathan Byers, Will's brother, who supports her as they search for both Will and Barb. Jim Hopper, the local sheriff, still haunted by his own family tragedy, becomes emotionally involved in the case and grows close to both Joyce and the kids. During his investigation, he discovers the Hawkins Laboratory and its connection to Dr. Brenner. 11 helps the boys locate Will and faces the Demogorgon at the school, with everyone joining forces. She destroys the creature, but in the effort to send it back to the Upside Down, she vanishes along with it. Will is rescued, but he is left deeply shaken and still psychically connected to the Upside Down. In 1984, Will begins showing strange symptoms of possession, tied to the collective consciousness of the Mind Flayer. The laboratory is now run by the kind and pragmatic Dr. Owens, who tries to close the portal once and for all. The Mind Flayer infiltrates Will and starts corrupting Hawkins through a vast network of organic tunnels beneath the town. Meanwhile, Mike is devastated by 11's disappearance, unaware that she is secretly living with Sheriff Hopper, who hides her in his cabin, treats her as a daughter, and tries to keep her safe. Dustin discovers and raises a larva from the Upside Down named Dart, which eventually grows into a demodog. Hopper, Joyce, and the kids fight the creature, thinking it's the only one, but soon realize there are many demodogs and multiple access points to the Upside Down. At the same time, Nancy and Jonathan grow closer and begin a romantic relationship, while Steve redeems himself and becomes affectionately known as the group's babysitter. The kids met a new classmate, Max Mayfield, who soon became Eleven's best friend and Lucas's girlfriend. 11, after finding her mother and learning the truth about her origins, returns to Hawkins and uses her powers to seal the portal once again. The Mind Flayer is temporarily trapped, but continues to watch the human world from afar. By the following summer, 11 and Mike are reunited and spend their days as a couple, to the frustration and jealous concern of Hopper, who now acts as an overprotective father. In 1985, the Starcourt Mall was built in Hawkins, a front for a secret Soviet base attempting to reopen the portal using a high-energy generator. The Russians succeeded in briefly breaching the dimensional barrier. Meanwhile, Steve Harrington formed a close friendship with Robin Buckley, his co-worker at the ice cream shop Scoops Ahoy. As the Russians worked underground, the Mind Flayer managed to take on a physical form by merging the bodies of possessed humans. It used Billy Hargrove, Max's stepbrother, as its primary host and enforcer, forcing him to recruit others into an army of mind-controlled victims. Steve and Robin uncovered the existence of the Russian base beneath the mall but were captured. Dustin and Erica, Lucas's younger sister, managed to rescue them. Meanwhile, Hopper and Joyce captured a defecting Russian scientist, Alexei, who revealed how the machine worked. With his help, they infiltrated the base and destroyed the portal generator. During the explosion, Hopper sacrificed himself to ensure the portal's closure. At the same time, 11 fought the Shadow Monster, the Mind Flayer's physical manifestation, inside the mall but lost her powers in the process. Billy died heroically, resisting the Mind Flayer's control long enough to save 11 and the others. Hawkins was left in ruins. In Russia, several Demogorgons were kept in captivity for experimentation, and an American prisoner was held in the same facility. The prisoner was, in fact, Jim Hopper, who had survived the explosion and been secretly taken to the Soviet Union. In 1986, Hawkins was once again struck by new paranormal phenomena. Students began dying under mysterious and supernatural circumstances. Vecna emerged, a powerful being who targeted emotionally vulnerable minds, opening portals with each murder he committed. Max Mayfield, tormented by guilt over her stepbrother Billy's death, became one of his chosen victims, but managed to survive thanks to her friends and the power of music. After Hopper's presumed death, 11 lived in California with Joyce, Will, and Jonathan. Joyce had moved the family away from Hawkins, hoping to protect the kids from further danger. But the danger soon found them. Stripped of her powers, 11 agreed to undergo Project Nina, under the supervision of the kind-hearted Dr. Owens and the manipulative Dr. Brenner, in an attempt to recover her lost memories from 1979 and regain her psychic strength. Meanwhile, Mike, Will, Jonathan, and their eccentric friend Argyle set out on a cross-country journey to rescue 11 from Brenner and the military forces determined to eliminate her, believing she was the cause of all the recent catastrophic events. In Russia, Hopper was held captive in Kamchatka, where the Soviets continued experimenting with creatures from the Upside Down. Through a sympathetic guard, he managed to send word to Joyce. With the help of Joyce and the eccentric journalist Murray Bauman, Hopper fought against Demogorgons, narrowly survived, and eventually escaped, finally reuniting with Joyce and making his way home. Back in Hawkins, Nancy, Steve, Robin, Dustin, Lucas, Erica, and Max joined forces to fight Vecna. Eddie Munson, wrongly accused of being behind the town's bizarre murders, sacrificed himself heroically to save the others. Max was killed by Vecna, but revived by 11, who connected to her mind from hundreds of miles away while submerged in a makeshift sensory deprivation tank built from a pizza freezer. Despite everyone's efforts, Max remained in a coma. Vecna was seriously wounded and temporarily driven back, but not destroyed. The merging of the portals caused a massive dimensional collapse in Hawkins. The town was left in ruins. The government declared a state of emergency. Hidden among the wreckage of the Creel house, Vecna began to regenerate, strengthening his control over the Upside Down. At last, 11, Hopper, Joyce, Will, Mike, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, Lucas, Dustin, and Max were reunited. The rifts between dimensions continued to grow. Will once again sensed the presence of the Mind Flayer. The boundary between worlds was fading. The final war was about to begin. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel to show your support. And if you'd like to keep going, here's another video from our channel that you might enjoy.